So there are nations where there really is no choice. They have one-party systems. One such nation I'm sure you can think of is Cuba, also North Korea. In nations with more than one political party, like the U.S., voters have a choice. Some nations are based on a one-party governmental system that forbids more parties, like dictatorships, fascist regimes, communists. Like I said, Cuba is an example, as is North Korea. Nazi Germany was another example. That's all I can think of at the moment. So we vote for candidates. We have an election coming up in November, and I'm going to just walk you through state qualifications for voting. So each state decides qualifications for voting. The qualifications, though, cannot break the Constitution. In some states, a citizen who has been convicted of a serious crime loses their right to vote. And here, please visit that link. It's just a copyright thing on YouTube. So you register. Most states require you to register ahead of time. There really is not an excuse not to have found time to register. It opens so far ahead of the election and goes just, I think, until just about the day of. It ensures that voters meet qualifications. Almost all states have permanent registration. When I renewed my driver's license last time, I was asked if I wanted to register to vote simultaneously. It's called the motor voter registration. So when citizens register, they may be asked to register as a member of a political party or as independent voters. That doesn't happen in Illinois, but in other states it does. So in Illinois, you have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be at least 18 years of age by election day. If you are going to be 18 years of age by election day and you're 17 and you want to vote in the primary, that's cool too. That's allowed. As I just said, 17 years of age to vote in a general primary if the individual will be 18 as of the following general election. And you must have been a resident of the precinct. That's just the area where you live. Your house is in a precinct at least 30 days prior to the election day. So if you haven't moved in or moved out within the last month, you're good to go. 2 forms of identification are required, with at least one showing your current residence address are needed when you register in person. Typically, your driver's license does this and some sort of bill. If you register by mail, and that's an option, sufficient proof of identity is required by submission of your driver's license number or state identification card number. And if you don't have either of those, we make it very easy. Verification by the last 4 digits of your Social Security number, a copy of your current and valid photo identification, or a copy of a current utility bill, bank statement, paycheck, government check, or other government document that shows your name and address will be required. It is so easy to register to vote. Anything really that has your name or address on it, any piece of registered mail that's come to your address that says your name's Jonathan Parker and you live here, whatever your name is, that's it. I mean, the government makes it very easy for you to register to vote. So a person may also demonstrate sufficient proof of identity by submission of a photo identification issued by a college or university. ICC issues an identification card to you, your student ID, accompanied by either a copy of the applicant's contract or lease for a residence. You all are living somewhere. I doubt there are many of you that own the home you're living in. or lease for a residence or any postmarked mail delivered to the applicant at his or her current residence address. So easy. It's so easy. This is making it seem complicated just because it's wordy, but really, anything that identifies you and any piece of identification that shows your face and states your name and that a person could reasonably look at and say, okay, this piece of identification tells me that this is Jonathan Parker. So where can you register to vote? Really anywhere. The county clerk's office, the Board of Election Commissioner's office, city and village offices. If you live in a small enough town, you'd probably have a town courthouse. You can go there. Certainly township offices, schools will, now don't walk into a school and say, I want to register to vote, but schools will sometimes hold voter registration drives. You just have to be on the lookout for one that is doing that. Public libraries and military recruitment offices, just watch what you're signing. It's just a joke. They'll just register you to vote. So there are primary and there are general elections. The primary is held first. And the primary is Republican versus Republican or Democrat versus Democrat. The primary allows the voter to choose the candidates from each party who will run for public office in the general election. So right now, Donald Trump or Nikki Haley, Joe Biden or Marianne Williamson. And there are two types of primary elections. One is a closed primary, and that is only voters who are registered in the party who can choose that party's candidate. So you have to walk in, and this isn't in Illinois, this is in another state, but you say, I'm a member of the Democratic Party, and you present something that says you're a member of the Democratic Party. I don't know, I'm not a member of either the Democratic or Republican Party. And they'll give you a ballot for Democrats, and you choose which one you want. Illinois is an open primary state. Voters may vote for the candidates of either party, whether they belong to that party or not. Now, one misconception here is that you can say I want to vote for the Democrats, and then you fill that ballot out, you put it back, you turn it in, and you say, now I want to vote for the Republicans. You have to choose one. You have to choose whether you want to vote for Republican candidates or Democratic candidates. You can't double dip. But that's how it works in Illinois. You can choose either the Republican or the Democratic candidates to vote for in the primary, but you cannot do both. So then the general election follows the primary election, and this would be, say, if we get it again, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, the rematch. And that determines which candidates will fill what offices. So this is what a primary ballot looks like. As you can see, it's very clearly marked. Republican primary ballot. And these guys are running for state's attorney, Carl Larson and Anthony Kuhn, and Andrew Smith and James Hauser running for judicial circuit judge. So the person here obviously favored Carl Larson and James Hauser. And that's how you vote in the primary. So if these two won, then Carl Larson would be running against a Democrat and maybe a Libertarian and maybe a Green Party member for this office. And the same thing with James Hauser. Then a general election ballot. This is not what it looks like today. It's just something I found when researching, and I thought it was kind of cool. It's an old general election ballot. You can see the Prohibition Party, the Socialist Party, Socialist Labor, and it gives a heck of a lot more information about candidates than you see on a ballot today. Wilson E. McDermott for state treasurer, 7408 Bond Avenue, Chicago. You wouldn't see that. That information is available if you do enough digging online, but it wouldn't just be put on a general election ballot like that today. This is what it would look like. Donald Trump, Mike Pence, they wouldn't be listing home addresses. Then we will cover this in much greater detail. And, the election, say, for president is held, and the Electoral College speaks. So the popular vote, the votes of citizens in the general election, affects the decisions of the electors. Now that reads more like it's a suggestion. The popular vote dictates, in the ideal world, how the electors vote. Illinois, unless I'm forgetting something, hasn't voted for a Republican for president since Ronald Reagan in 1984. Illinois will vote for the Democrat. So if it's Joe Biden again, Illinois' 17 electors will vote for Joe Biden because that's what the state's voters have dictated through their votes. All right. You do have what are called faithless electors from time to time, those who just kind of take matters into their own hands. It's changing, but it's not complete yet. There are states that are passing laws that say, okay, if you don't vote for Joe Biden, we're pulling you from the Electoral College and substituting you, and maybe substituting you again until we find somebody who will vote for Joe Biden in the Electoral College. It shouldn't have to come to that. You should, if you are an elector, you should vote for whoever won the popular vote in your state. And that should be very, very easy also, because the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, the Libertarian Party, the Green Party, whoever, puts together a slate of electors that will go to, in our case, Springfield, on the chance that their candidate wins. But it doesn't always happen that way. The Electoral College is fascinating to look at, and we will certainly study it more, but this is just a bit of an introduction. So each state has as many electors sent to the college as it has senators and congressional representatives. All right, so the electors are not required to vote for their party's candidate. Although, again, as I said, that's starting to change in some states a little bit. They should be voting for their party's candidate. And the presidential candidate who receives the majority of the electoral votes, 270, is officially declared president, finally. So, Biden, it's interesting because this was it was flipped in 2016. Trump beat Clinton by that margin in the Electoral College. And that is all I have to say about political parties for now. So thank you for sticking with me, and I'll see you next time.